Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at this really neat little knife. This is the Civivi Baby Banter, designed by Ben Peterson. I have been testing a lot of Civivis for review recently, and this is the first one I'm sitting down to film a review on, because this is the one that I formed my final conclusion on the quickest. So yeah, I'm going to try and get all these Civivi reviews out real fast. Probably going to be posting them on Mondays. So look forward to those. Anyways, let's get in with our blade length measurement and size comparisons on the Baby Banter. There's what I'm looking for. Okay, so we are looking at a blade length of just a hair under 2.5. Get this on screen. All right, just a tiny bit under 2.5, so definitely a good legal size for a lot of people. Let's compare it against some knives. Starting off, as always, you know what it is. We got our Rat 2 and our Rat 1. Yeah, little teeny tiny guy. All right, put those aside. Usually I'd go for Civivis next, but you know what? We'll save the Civivi comparisons for last. So let's bring out our Benchmade Bug Out. And where's my PM2? There he is. Gonna need him as well. And there's the PM2. Again, little tiny guy. Alrighty. Now we'll go ahead and we'll compare against some Civivis. We'll start off with our regulars. There's the Elementum. There's the Praxis. So, yeah. Tiny knife if you haven't got that yet. It's not a big knife. Next up, let's compare it against some more Civivis. Here's a recent release. This is the Civivi Hadros. Pretty cool knife. And let me get into this Civivi pouch here. And here's the Civivi Ortis. Tiny knife. Okay, so since it's a tiny knife, just to close things up here, I want to compare against some other small fifth pocket carry knives that I think compete with this knife. So first one is a CJRB Mylea. And what you can see there is they're almost identical in size. And here's the Kaiser Lieb. A little bit bigger, but just a tiny bit. So yeah, pretty cool comparisons there. Very comparable in size to those. I haven't done an edge-to-edge in a while, but I might do an edge-to-edge between these two, or maybe a edge-to-edge threesome with the Lieb as well. We will see. So what are we looking at here as far as materials go? Well, G10 steel liner lock, as you might expect. This nice little drop point blade is made of Nitro V. We'll talk about that. I'm not a big fan of Civivi's Nitro V. We'll get into that later, but yeah. We are running on bearings, thumb stud action, steel clip that is reversible, so that's pretty cool. T8 hardware on the pivot and this body screw, and T6s for the other stuff. So let's go ahead and go to some cut footage. I apologize, the quality on my recorded cutting footage is not very good. Another thing I want to say is this knife was actually going dull when I took the footage. The way I do my cut tests is I EDC the knife around for a little bit, and then I set out my cut test stuff. I used to do just cardboard. I'm starting to do some other cut tests as well, but I just kind of go at it whenever I get a chance to film. So this guy was going pretty dull from my testing, but yeah. Also, I will say this is wearing my edge now. So I laid back the edge quite a bit because Civivi has really tiny edge bevels. So yeah, I laid this one back to 17 degrees. So anyways, let's go over to the cut test footage, shall we? All right, let's do this. So I'm actually out right now recording the cutting footage for a bunch of different knives, so you're gonna see this background in a lot of upcoming videos, but that's okay. It's a nice background. One of my favorite places to come hiking. Anyways, Civivi Baby Banter. Let's see how it cuts. Let's start off by taking a behind the edge reading. This is a flat grind, Nitro V steel, drop point blade. I have had issues with Civivi's Nitro V in the past. You can go ahead and check out my video about that. I'll leave it up here or something, or you could just go look it up. Anyways, it was on the Civivi bow. Behind the edge reading. I do apologize for the wind. Woo! About 10 thousandths in this area here. Let's go up towards the tip. Sometimes this is a hard measurement to get. Okay, up at the very tip, we're getting 14 thousandths. So, at the thickest, this knife's thickest point is still very thin. That's really nice to see. Let's go ahead and get some cutting done. Go get that. So yeah, it's a good slicer. What were you expecting? Sometimes, since the blade is so small, you'll get your thumb studs caught and stuff, but I don't think that's such a big deal. So how's a Baby Banter carry? Well, it's a small knife. I mean, the blade length here isn't even 2.5 inches. The overall length of this knife is barely over 5. So it's a very small knife. When it's folded up, it's very compact. It does fit into the 5th pocket very easily, as well as just, your regular pocket. The clip works good. Sometimes those thumb studs actually do get in the way of getting it in your pocket, but it's not so bad. The thing I like most about this clip is it's sunk into the scales and the screws are flat, which is great. It is reversible. Civivi made a unique clip for this knife, which I like a lot. The carry on this knife is really good. It's super lightweight as well. We'll talk more about the clip back at the table. How's the action? It's on ball bearings. Pops out really well. Spidey flick it. It's a good action, especially for such a small knife. The thumb studs are placed pretty proud of the scales, so you can't get to them. So yeah, no problems there. Let's see, carry, cutting. How are the ergos? That's what we need to talk about next. So if you hold the knife right back here, very uncomfortable, but who's gonna hold the knife like that? That's not how it's meant to be held. Choke up here. This feels really good. You can feel the clip a little bit when you're bearing down into cuts, but it's not very bad. You do get full 4-finger grip. Love this choil. I wish the jimping came out a little bit further, but you know what? As is, not bad. So yeah, let's go to the table and talk about it a little more in depth. Alrighty, we're back. Hope the cutting footage was good. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So let's get into this knife, what I like, what I don't like. First thing, it's a nice looking knife. It is kind of plain looking. Well, we'll talk about that later, but you know what? I like it. It's a nice looking knife. So that's really, really cool. Next thing, this blade being under 2.5 inches is going to make this knife very legal for a lot of people. So if you live in a restricted or in a restrictive blade length area, this will be really good for you. So next thing I like, the ergos. Oh my gosh, the ergos on this knife just shine. So this is how you make a 5th pocket knife work like a dream. By having this big choil here, you allow yourself a good, solid 4-finger grip on the knife. I mean, I have a full grip here. No questions asked. A completely full grip. The choil is done in a really good way. It's kind of a 50-50 choil, 50% on the blade, 50% in the handle, kind of like on a Spyderco PM2. It's really good. The knife melts into your hand really well. You can feel the clip a little bit, but it's a deep carry clip. You're going to feel it. Ben Peterson, the designer of this knife, talks a lot about how he likes to get up towards a tip. With this knife, you can totally do that all day, every day. Really, really nice there. Next thing, there's a lot of different versions of this knife available. Besides just this blue and black. You guys know me. I had to grab a blue one. So yeah, you'll probably find a flavor you like. And if Civivi does with this, kind of like what we did with the full-size Banter, there's going to be a lot of versions of this out there. Also, I must apologize, I don't have a full-size Banter to compare this knife with. I really wish I did. I was going to wait until I had one to do this review, but you know what? We're just going to review this knife as it is. Not comparing it to his bigger brother. Next thing I like, the pocket clip. The pocket clip is so good. Look, Civivi did this clip perfectly. There is nothing between that clip and the scale. They recessed the clip and they gave it flat screws. This is how you do a pocket clip. Plus, they made a unique clip for this knife. This is not a bad clip at all. This is a nice clip, and it is so much better than this clip from Civivi. If Civivi had thrown this clip on the Banter, I would have thrown a fit because it would not have worked at all. This is good. The clip fits the design of the knife. I'm not sure why it says just Banter, not Baby Banter, but I don't know. This is basically the same clip that's on the full size, but yeah, really nice clip. I like that a lot. They even give you a lanyard hole on this tiny knife, and the lanyard hole and the clip aren't really fighting for dominance, which on a knife this small, it's kind of hard to do, so I like that. Next thing, the knife is well built. Look, it's Civivi. Civivi just builds nice knives. They know how to build a knife, and this one's no exception. Very well put together. I like the way they did this on the inside. You can see, just looking there, you can see this little metal plate there at the back. This might be a better view of it. For the standoffs to sit on, that's nice. Right. If I can show it off. I don't know. Anyways, this side is basically just G10 except for that little metal standoff in the back. And then, of course, you have the liner. On a small knife like this, I don't mind one side being completely G10. That doesn't bother me at all. So I like that quite a bit. The clip is reversible. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but that's really good. You know, get the lefties in here. The knife overall carries really well. Folds up into a very nice, small, compact size. Goes in your 5th pocket just fine. This is definitely a backup knife for me, not a primary, but yeah, and I must say I enjoyed it a lot as a backup knife. Next thing, I like that they jimped the inside of this little choil. You can see that there. That's good. It gives you some just a little bit of tactile feeling when you're holding the knife, and your thumb and this finger pinch you in really well. I do wish the jimping up here came out further, because right now it's only gripping that part of my thumb. This is the way I want to grip this knife. I wish I had some jimping. You know, I guess you could do this, but I don't like that grip very much. I'd much rather have something, out a little bit further. So, there we go. Not bad at all. Okay, next thing, the action is good. Thumb studs. Civivi typically does thumb stud or blade hole actions really well. This was not an exception. It's on bearings. It deploys really well. Detent is definitely right where you want to be for this size of a knife and this type of a knife. And this knife's not very hard to deploy either. Sometimes smaller knives can be a little more difficult to deploy, but this one is very nice. I like that. Really, really cool. All right, so let's go ahead and close off the likes. The blade. I like the blade in terms of shape, and this flat grind is done really well. This is a good slicer. This is a very good, it's super thin behind the edge. I can't remember how thin it is, like 13 thousandths or something. So nice and thin. You're going to get a lot of cuts done. But I'm not a big fan of Nitro V. So let's try. Well, actually, one more thing that I like, access to the lock bar is really good. They give you a lot of good access in there, so that's good. Anyways, now we'll transition into what I don't like. I don't like Civivi's Nitro V. This knife went dull on me so fast. Like, it went dull so fast. And, you can go check out my video that I did on the Civivi bow that had Nitro V. I hated that steel. Hated it. It rusted. It didn't sharpen very well. This one actually did sharpen a little bit better. And then the edge of tension is just not where I want it to be. In my opinion, this knife would have been a lot better with 14C28N, which Civivi does a really good job with. So I'm not sure I like the Nitro V. The coating on this blade, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of either. The finish that was on the bow was not very durable at all. And in fact, my buddy's sharpened blade actually told me the other day that he has one of these, that he tried cleaning some stuff off the blade or something, and it did kind of what my bow did. It like smudges the finish. So I actually want to test that right now. I'm just going to use some basic alcohol and just do a little wipe down like you would to get tape or something off your blade. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, so here we have our little splotch of alcohol. Take my Civivi wipe. Just going to do like I'm trying to clean off the blade. And let's see here. Let me look at this closer. Okay, it seems to have held up all right, but again, I've heard about issues and I've had issues. The bow did not have this black coating, but it has kind of a, like, similar to what's on the riffle. So they call it a stonewash, but I don't know. Watch the bow video. Next thing, why did they make black bladed versions of these? I mean, if they want this to match the actual Banter that came out with the blue and satin or stonewash, I can't remember, blade, they should have done that here because it would have matched perfectly. But now you have this little black bladed thing that doesn't completely match. I do think I know why. So there's only one version of the Banter so far that doesn't have this. They call it a black stonewash, but I don't know. Civivi stonewash is very, very light. And they have a black handled version with a stonewash blade with blue thumb studs, and that's the version that Sharpened Blade has, I believe. And that finish is probably very similar to the stonewash on my bow. You can go check out that video. Man, I sound like a broken record. But I don't like that stonewash by Civivi. We'll talk about that another time, but maybe I'll make a whole video about that. But I think the reason they're not doing like any satin versions of this because, well, let me turn over here to my computer real quick. I'm gonna look up what finish the Wii Banter has. I believe it was a satin. So they do have some satin versions, but also stonewash versions. Anyways, my experience with Civivi's Nitro V is that it rusts easily. And so maybe they had to stonewash and coat all of these to kind of, you know, do some rust prevention. But anyways, I'm going to stop ragging on the Nitro V. Does not hold an edge. The bottom line is, doesn't hold an edge well. This was better than the experience I had with the bow, but I still don't like the Nitro V that much. The other thing, actually, with the Nitro V, I was talking to some people because I made a whole video about what I thought about Nitro V, and some people were telling me that Nitro V has a little bit of an increase in toughness, and so I took this to lab with me. In case you guys don't know, I'm a geology student. So I use this knife to test the hardness of minerals, where, you know, I just take a mineral and I, you know, basically just try and scratch it with the tip of the knife and see if it left a mark. And I know what you guys are thinking, well, no wonder it went dull. If you're scratching rocks with it, the whole thing went dull, not just the tip. The whole thing went dull really fast. But the toughness did seem to be okay, actually. I will give it that. The toughness did seem like it stood up all right. And that's actually another thing I'm working on as a side project right now. Just not about this knife, really, but I've been trying to do a little bit of research and testing to see if there's any real... To see what the correlation is between a Rockwell hardness scale and the Mohs hardness scale. Mohs hardness scale is what's used on minerals to test their hardness. A scale of 1 to 10, 1 being talc and 10 being a diamond. And steel falls in between. We call steel between a 5.5 and a 6.5 hardness. So I'm wondering if, you know, the Rockwell hardness of the steel itself on like a knife blade affects the reading that you'll get, you know, knife to knife. So if your heat treat's really good and you have a Rockwell of 63, will you be able to scratch something that you can't scratch with a knife that's Rockwell treated to, I don't know, 59 or something? Anyways, I'll make a whole other video about that too. I'm getting way off track. Oh my gosh. Anyways, what else don't I like? This. So you see the screws here. Let me grab my bit driver real quick. Okay, so here we have a T8 head. So it's great. T8 pivot, T8 body screw, especially on a little tiny knife like this. That screw's T8. These are T6s, which T6s on a pocket clip don't really bother me that much unless the pocket clip screws double as body screws. Then it does kind of bother me. So, look, if you're going to, because here's the advantage of having T8 hardware. It doesn't strip out as easy, and you only have to use one bit to take apart your knife. You don't have to keep switching bits. So, you know, if your pocket clip is T6, but you don't have to really worry about taking the pocket clip off to disassemble the knife and, you know, do maintenance on it, then, you know, no big deal. But if your pocket clip is part of the knife, the pocket clip screw is a body screw, why not just make them T8s? I mean, Civivi's done it in the past. We have the Statira here. Every single screw on this knife is a T8. The pocket clip screw is a body screw. One of the pocket clip screws is a body screw. And it's T8. I like saying that. So this is kind of a tiny nitpick, but, you know, there you have it. And the other thing, too, is, I mean, Civivi basically makes you take the knives apart on the clip side because they have the, you know, obviously you're not going to get a Torx bit in that C. You have to do it here. And, you know, unscrewing that one and then popping it out and unscrewing those, I just don't like that. So just take it apart from the clip side. You're going to have to use a T8 and a T6 anyways. So, you know, whatever. Next thing I already talked a little bit about, I wish the jimping came out a little bit further. Just because my thumb wants to be, when I'm holding this knife, my thumb wants to be here. And that's kind of not where the jimping is. In fact, the jimping doesn't even, let's get up close here. Jimping doesn't even come past the thumb studs. So, I mean, you can hold the knife back here, but that's not what I want to do. I want to hold it up here. Maybe what they should do is have like the, like what Giant Mouse does, or I think it's a Voxnay's thing. Have the jimping up here and back here, so have two different places of jimping. I think that'd be a good idea, but whatever. Next thing, this knife is just kind of plain looking, and the original Banter was really plain looking too. And I get the aesthetic, but you know, maybe some people don't like that. And well, there's two more things, but the last thing I want to talk about as being a bad is I just don't like Civivi's G10 that much. I've talked about this before, but it's not my favorite stuff. It's okay, but not my favorite. And then the last thing, the price. These come in at about $55. Let me look that up real quick. Okay, yeah, I lied. These are about $60. I think that's a little bit high, especially considering the fact that I think that kind of, you know, that little bit of a premium, I would say, is coming from the blade steel being Nitro V, and I just don't think Nitro V is worth that much. Again, the only experience I have with Nitro V is from Civivi, but I really dislike it with a passion. I do not like Nitro V at all. So, a little bit expensive, but I don't think it's gonna make or break this knife for you. Maybe, but especially when you consider that my Leah has AR RPM 9 steel, which I think is vastly superior to this Nitro V. And you can get these for $35. 35 versus 60. Just gonna say that. This knife is a little bit pricey. And Civivi's been kind of on a kick of getting a little more expensive, which is maybe why they've come out with the Syncut brand. But anyways, that's all the bad. So let's go on to my final conclusions. Alrighty. Oh, I missed it. There we go. Final conclusions. Look, despite my ramblings about the Nitro V steel, I really like this knife. In fact, I think this is definitely one of the top 5 best fifth pocket carry knives ever made. Ever. This is a really excellent piece. Would I like to see it in a different steel? Yeah, sure. Do I have a few little tiny nitpicks? Yes. Do those outweigh the fact that this is just a really great knife? No, not really at all. Look, it's well made. You know, there are so many things here that are nice little details that I could have pointed out that I didn't. You know, the lockup is good. They give you a nice sharp control, although I will say I did hit that shoulder there a little bit while sharpening, but I was able to avoid it mostly on the other side, so whatever. You can tell that Ben Peterson, when he designed this, knew what he was going for. In my opinion, the best part of this knife is those ergos. The ergos are fantastic. The fact that this little tiny knife gives you a full purchase grip is just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Can I recommend this knife? Yes. Yes, I can. All day, every day. It's a little bit pricey, but I do think it is worth it. While we're on the topic, actually, I want to talk about this clip. Civivi actually sells this clip by itself on Amazon. And you know what? When I discovered that made me really happy. I'm going to go and grab some of those clips and put on some of my other Civivis. Get out here, Hadros. What are you doing? But yeah, so that's really cool. Great knife. Good action. Good performance on the blade. Look, it's ground very well. I mean, let's look at how thin this blade is. Let's take out the Rat 1, which I use in my blade thickness comparison. It's a pretty thin blade, but it's also pretty stout. I like this blade shape because you can see there at the tip, pretty stout, which again makes it great for scratching minerals like I like to do. Another thing about this knife too is it's pretty friendly. I mean, it's a bright blue little knife. You can get it in purple or whatever. And people don't really get too scared by this knife, you know, especially since you can actually just slow roll this knife open. You don't have to flick it. You can slow roll it open. And so while I'm at lab and, you know, I want to scratch a mineral, like, you know, let's take this is a chunk of rhyolite, you know, no one really even blinks when I take this knife out. Although, I mean, geologists carry all kinds of weird tools and everyone's always pulling out knives to test different stuff anyway, so whatever. But this is a good knife. This is a really good knife. I can give it a very strong recommend. What would I change about it? The blade steel. And I'd extend the jimping. And those are the two, to me, those are the only two big issues. And the jimping isn't even a huge issue. I mean, the top of the spine is pretty comfortable. I just wish, you know, I had a little bit of something to grip onto out here. But, I mean, other than that, this is a really, really darn good fifth pocket carry. All right, before I close out this video right now, I want to do a quick shout out to, or I want to promote, I guess, a little project that I've been working on with my buddy Sharpened Blade. He has a YouTube channel and an Instagram. I highly recommend you go and check them both out. He's a great guy, fantastic reviewer. He definitely deserves more subs. He gives very light-hearted reviews, very informative, just really fun guy to watch. Anyways, he and I got together just a little bit ago, and we formed the Civivi Backlash Club. Pretty cool pun on the name, isn't it? But what it is, you know, for months we've been talking, and we've been discussing the fact that Civivi isn't as perfect as everyone says they are all the time. In fact, I'll drag out some more Civivi knives here while I'm at it, talking about Civivi. What other Civivi knives do I have right now? There we go. Oh, look, they're all blue. And we think there's a lot of knives out there that need more attention going to them. If you guys know my channel, you know that I'm critical of Civivi. I have pointed out some things that I think they do wrong. In fact, I have a whole video about why I don't think they're the best budget knife brand. But, you know, him and I were talking, we got together, we started this page, and we'd like to build a nice little community there. We're not Civivi haters. There are a lot of Civivi knives that I love. I really do. But over there, you know, we just want to share knife recommendations, point out lesser known knives that are also great, share some funny memes, just kind of get some conversation going. So go check it out. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. Pretty small right now, but we're going to grow it. So anyways, just wanted to say that real quick. And that's going to be it for this video. I will leave links to both Sharpened Blade's channel and the Civivi Backlash Club in the description below. And yes, I know Facebook, believe me, I'm not a big fan of Facebook either, but you know what? It was the easiest and simplest platform to build a group on, so we'd like to have you over there. And yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, go ahead and leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.